JJ Ramberg, and welcome to Your Business, where we give you tips and advice to help your business grow. Once again, the Gulf Coast is facing disastrous conditions, and officials are worrying about the economic impact. But New Orleans has a way of rebounding from a crisis. Whether it's the Gulf oil spill, the recession, or Hurricane Katrina, the city has an unwavering spirit of survival. 5 years after Katrina, a new group of innovative entrepreneurs is leading the city in an effort to reinvent itself as a creative economy.
My name is Kyle Berner. I am the creator and CEO of Feel Good's Flip Flops.
They're committed.
My name is Seema Sudan, and the name of my company is Leah Molly, and I make special novelty eye candy knitwear.
They're visionary.
My name is Nick Perkins, and I'm the co-founder and president of the Receivables Exchange.
5 years after the devastation from Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans is experiencing a renaissance, and small business owners are leading the way.
New Orleans is becoming this national laboratory of the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders.
It's created sort of an interesting synergy, if not an alchemy, of committed natives as well as these very enterprising, idealistic newcomers.
Those that stayed in New Orleans, like Matt Wisdom from Turbo Squid and Ken Purcell from iSeats, were considered pioneers.
It felt like the Wild West, and it made us feel like we were pioneers rebuilding something from the ground up.
When everyone else was fleeing the city and businesses were closing left and right and the news was piling on about who's leaving town next, I said, I'm going to do something right. This is an opportunity for me to take a gamble, but for me to do something that I believe in.
And today, while other cities are struggling to stay afloat during this tough economy, New Orleans has been growing thanks to a low cost of living, generous tax credits, and a rich culture.
You can start a business here for 30 to 40% less than in New York or San Francisco. So why offshore to Bangalore when you can offshore to New Orleans? You can come here and do it better and do it cheaper and do it with more enthusiastic people than almost anywhere else in the country.
There are some pretty exciting digital media and film-related tax credits that are available, and the tax credits are second to none.
Louisiana is now number 3 in the United States in terms of film production, behind only California and New York.
At the epicenter of all of this entrepreneurial activity is the IP building, Entrepreneurs Row, and the Ice House. Inspired by Silicon Alley in New York, the 3 hubs house some of the most innovative companies in New Orleans.
We're in the IP building in New Orleans, and what you have here is a community of entrepreneurs that have moved into this building in the last year, from the fastest growing companies in the country to iSeats to Feel Goods. What this board represents is the entrepreneurial community within New Orleans, and it's just one of the few innovative hubs that are sprouting up all around the community.
There's a natural business network that's developing. It requires nothing but putting like-minded people together and letting them do what comes naturally.
Kyle Berner of Feel Goods and Craig Cordes of Cordina Mar-go-Rita met at the IP building and found that they could collaborate on the packing of Kyle's flip-flops in Cordina's large warehouse space.
We're shipping out margaritas anyway, so why not add flip-flops to the mix? And sure enough, a joint venture was formed, and we're now shipping out Feel Good's flip-flops.
Seema Sudan's desire to help rebuild New Orleans was so strong, she left her job in New York as a sweater designer to follow her dream of starting her own clothing company.
The enthusiasm for a new business here is just incredible. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for us, and was like, whatever we can do to have you succeed, we want you to succeed.
The momentum the city felt when the New Orleans Saints won in the 2010 Super Bowl became a symbol of the city's amazing comeback.
Well, it had incredible meaning that the Saints won the Super Bowl. We had fixed so many problems and changed so many things that had been wrong. It already felt like we'd had a victory that I didn't expect to see in my lifetime.
New Orleans is on the rise, a recession-proof haven eager to support new businesses with entrepreneurs working together to succeed.
New Orleans is my huge business partner. It's on the label, and it'll stay on the label. Business partners invest in your business, and New Orleans invests in my business. Both people on the street, in the community, my friends, the businesses here, I mean, they want me to succeed, and and in ways that are beyond just capital investments.
When you're living here, you feel as though you're living a part of history. You're part of something that history will look back and say, this was the moment when New Orleans turned around.
These inspiring entrepreneurs in New Orleans prove once again that resiliency is essential for small business success. Let's turn to this week's board of directors. Reva Lasansky is the CEO of Grow Biz Media, a company that helps entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses. She's also a columnist for allbusiness.com. And Lonnie Hay is the president and CEO of Landmark Technology, an information technology services company. Great to see both of you.
Good to see you, JJ.
I love that story, and I must say it kind of reminds me in some ways of when I was working for a small company in 1998, and I would take the plane from Los Angeles to San Francisco back and forth, and all of us were in small entrepreneurial companies, and there was this excitement that was palpable.
Well, you feel like you're a part of something, and your activities really make a big impact on the outcome of the company. So it's really something special to be a part of a small business.
It's being present at the rebirth. I mean, you're right. It is like the '90s, where all of a sudden the dot-com boom. So you know that New Orleans is going to come back. Everybody in America has invested in it. Even before Katrina, it's always been the legendary city. So I think there's going to be a huge boom, and they're going to build businesses, and people are going to flock to the city.
How helpful is it? Truly helpful, beyond just kind of, yeah, this is fun. Helpful is it to be around an environment where there's a lot of entrepreneurial activity?
Do you know, I think that's one of the things that we've lost in the last 10 years. If you remember back in the 90s, there were all those incubators, and it was a place, even the SBA was running some, where entrepreneurs were together feeding off each other. Here's this guy, right, packing his flip-flops with the margaritas. In my head, I'm thinking, wait, you could have like a margarita party complete with the flip-flops. I mean, there's so many possibilities that you wonder why there aren't more incubators today, because I think one idea breeds another.
You know, New Orleans, clearly the city's doing a lot. They're giving tax breaks, they're doing all kinds of things. But you can create this in other cities as well.
Well, it's important small business owners have always been the ones that can make decisions, and so that's why they've flourished in New Orleans rather than large companies, because they're able to make decisions. As long as they have access to capital, they're able to grow and build their companies.
Yeah, but for somebody who's not going to pick up and move to New Orleans, for instance, in New York they have some office spaces where it's just for entrepreneurs, and you go in.
You know what part of it is, though, is the governments of the cities. I mean, entrepreneurs can do it and will do it. It's like Lonnie said. They're the ones who are going to be out there and create that, but they need support from city government, state government, local government, if it's not a city or a town, to help them, to make it attractive, to not just offer the tax breaks and incentives to the big companies, but to the smaller ones, or to the people who want to serve the smaller ones as well.
And to access to capital.
Yes.
That's probably the biggest thing for small business owners, is to have that access to capital.
And you work a lot with the administration, the SBA, to try and give them advice on small business. So as somebody who's living in a city that's not New Orleans, what do you do if you're trying to ask for some of these things?
Well, it's important to establish a good relationship with your local bank. And for smaller businesses, I found that it's better to have relationships with community banks or regional banks, and maybe not the big five, because you'll get that personalized attention and they'll understand the needs of your company more. Also, I recommend getting to know the Small Business Administration's programs. They have lots of programs where they will guarantee and back your loans with partnering banks.
Right. All right. Well, this was a really fun piece to watch and to talk about, and certainly a good commercial if you're an entrepreneur to go down to New Orleans.
Yeah, we all want to go now.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Thanks.
It generally takes a lot of time and often a lot of money to build a brand. But what if you could start manufacturing and selling something that was already popular? For an enterprising family in Boston, discovering a lapsed trademark led to the birth of a small business and the rebirth of a classic toy. For millions of kids growing up in the 1960s,